Um, just probably to just touch on how we actually went about doing this, we pretty much isolated a half a day in the office, 2 half days in the office. The first half day, we had the entire office just come up with different solutions. And we pinned them up at the end of the day. And the following day, we had Brian Swan come in and we had a little discussion on all the solutions. To a large extent, it was about seeing what's, more specifically the content, but what has ended up emerging is that there is no prophecy or answer to this solution, and neither could we actually find a pattern within all the solutions. And probably more important than anything is the fact that somehow the solutions and the kind of realignments that are occurring have a certain degree of flexibility. So to a large extent, that's what our board actually shows. It's not about these solutions, it's about many solutions, but somehow framing it within a context of an overall infrastructure that allows for adaptable solutions. So to a large extent, it does say that even though the crash was completely predictable, the way out and the realignments of how we get out is actually quite unpredictable and is quite dependent on the solutions and realignments that have occurred and the new ones that will follow. So what we tried to do is organize all of the different solutions into 3 spatial and temporal categories. Short-term solutions, which deal much more with reuse. Medium-term solutions, which deals with trying to provide greater value to the existing properties. And long-term solutions that attempt to at least try to ensure that this doesn't happen again. And 3 spatial conditions, obviously urban, suburban, and rural. So this was the map that's put together. As you can see on the upper right-hand corner, it goes from a kind of coastal situation into a river, as well as in the upper left and lower right from rural into suburban, and lower left into an urban condition. And the colors represents different solutions. On the right-hand side, the index. It's actually a technical survey drawing with the different solutions between short, medium, and long-term. So short-term solution, reusing the empty properties. The green highlighting the short-term solutions. One of them is institutionalized squatting. In exchange for a nominal rent, users receive short-term leases for use of the buildings and residences. So vacant properties are no longer left vacant and devalued, but somehow are occupied and kept reasonably reasonably maintained. A lot of development has happened along the Shannon in terms of housing. Maybe we can look at reversing this whole condition where the different housing developments become amenity shops and stations for the houseboats that would actually traverse the Shannon, effectively reusing those facilities. Other short-term solutions that deal with greening of the land. These are the green showing the different locations where greening solutions can occur. Market gardens, effectively, this one shows them stacked, which is much more of an urban condition where we actually allow for different surfaces that can actually be used to produce organic produce both within the city when they're stacked in different in buildings and in individual larger flat areas outside the city, where unemployed construction workers and professionals can turn their hands to small-scale organic farming, production and utilization of these surfaces. Cash crops, vacant rural sites are reused to produce cash crops for the exchequer. The land which was purchased for redevelopment is returned to its original use. The suburban farmer, which is another form of institutionalized squatting, where either the house or the garden or both of them can be used combined to produce produce and to allow for occupation so that they don't become derelict. And in the upper left-hand corner and the right-hand examples of farming both in New Jersey as well in the upper right-hand corner, organic farming in Ireland.
This was a study that Carnegie Mellon undertook actually in 2006, and they looked at greening vacant lots in Pittsburgh. And one of the things that the study showed up was that for every $1, well, this is in Philadelphia, for every $1 that the city spent on trying to green those lots, there was a return, it yielded $1.57 because, of course, the devaluation of surrounding properties by vacant lots is very problematic. So I suppose that was just some short-term things, because there's an immediate problem, but then there's a longer-term problem with all of these lots. And we were, I suppose, dealing a lot with the idea of all this land and properties that have been left over by NAMA. So then looking at what could we do, one of the things that I think maybe Alan hinted at as well was selective demolition, and whether there is a role to demolish some of the incomplete or unmaintainable developments, or potentially some of the inferior residential accommodation. There may no longer be a market for that. And the point would be, by selectively demolishing, we increase the value of what's there, but not just in terms of monetary value, but we might also increase the physical environment. This has happened extensively. I mean, it's happened with Pruitt Ego, Ballymun, of course, with the buildings here, and extensively in East Germany. I also think the savings and loan in California in the 80s, there was some demolition there of some properties. I mean, if you think about Ireland, some of the people in our office who aren't Irish, when they think of Ireland, their image always is of a kind of a greener place, not, I suppose, the reality where the country is a third urban, but whether some of those vacant NAMA sites could be used to develop ecotourism and try to build on that part of Ireland, which is still quite strong, the rural environment. This is maybe a little more playful, but again, that idea of those buildings, there are going to be a lot of leftover buildings, and whether some of them should be allowed to turn to ruin. In the city, perhaps gardens could be grown through those vacant sites. And in the countryside, there's romantic artifacts of a forgotten era of wealth and opulence. So it would be our reminder of the Celtic tiger.